Hello folks, this is Sullla once again. Welcome to another video for our teamfight tactics. So this is going to be the last video that I record for set 2 of Teamfight Tactics, Rise of the Elements. I really enjoyed Rise of the Elements. I thought it was a big success. I'm going to try to use this video to talk a little bit about some of the things that were good, some of the things that weren't so good in set 2, and then we'll use that as a way of transitioning into set 3, which is going to be coming out within a day or two after this video gets posted. So I will try to narrate what's going on in the game, but I will also try to spend a lot of time discussing kind of some of the bigger issues with Rise of the Elements. So this is the first set that I had a lot of, basically invested a lot of time into playing. I kind of caught the very tail end of set 1 of Teamfight Tactics, just basically by coincidence. I wasn't trying to go for anything in particular, but like that's when I started paying attention, following the scene for Teamfight Tactics and playing at, like I only had time to play like, I think 8 ranked games in season 1, and I ended up in bronze, not because I was losing or struggling, but just because I literally didn't have time to play enough games. So I did end up playing set 2 from the beginning to end. Like I said, I thought it was a big success and did pretty well with it, I think. And enough so that I enjoyed it and want to continue playing Teamfight Tactics for the immediate future. Okay, so off carousel here, we've just got picked up a Nico, and I'm looking to see what items I can build this chain vest into. Bigger picture though, let's talk about what went well in Teamfight Tactics Rise of the Elements. So I would say the first thing, and overall the biggest thing that was an improvement in this set over set 1, is overall the balance was just a lot better in season 2. As I said, I wasn't kind of part of the competitive scene for that long in set 1, but there were a lot of patches where the balance was just not very good, where there was just one particular build that was clearly far superior to anything else. People remember like Void Assassins is particularly notorious for that in set 1. But I would say in almost all of the patches, there was just one build that was clearly better than anything else, and people would just kind of slam that build over and over and over again. Set 2 certainly wasn't perfect. I think that there were a couple patches where the infamous Blender Nocturne was kind of overpowered, and that certainly was an issue, but by and large, the balancing was pretty good in this set. There were a lot of options that people could play, particularly here in like the last couple patches, for like the last month or so of set 2. I really think that there were a lot of different options that people could play and a lot of different comps that were competitive. You would have anything from like the Rangers builds or the 6 Light builds. You would have the 6 Shadow builds, Summoner Assassins builds, Berserker builds, Predator builds. Like all of these are viable to play. They might not be equally strong, but like all of them are, like some of them are stronger early game, some of them were stronger late game, but like all of them were pretty viable to play, I'd say. And there was just more overall room for different things that people could go with in a game like this. So as far as what's going on in the game right now, I do want to just continue the commentary. So right now, I am kind of building into a lunar setup. I don't actually like what I have here. I'm trying to find something else, but I found the early karma and I'm trying to play around the early karma. I'm also strongly considering making a locket here and then making a Hand of Justice from the tier plus Brawler's Glove, but I kind of need to find more Berserkers to do that, and I've only found one thus far, which is why I'm a little hesitant to commit to a Berserker's comp. But this overall setup I don't think is great. I'm just trying to minimize how much damage I take here. I was hoping that the Yasuo would die, and fortunately the Yasuo does, so I'm not going to win this round, but even though I didn't really have much, I was at least able to keep this round relatively close, and that's really all I was going for there, because I really didn't think I would win with what I had there. Let's see what I'm going to do here. So here's where my overall gameplay shifts. I find 2 Berserkers. The instant I see Mundo and Volibear pop up, I'm like, all right, so we're switching out of what we had before. We're going to play the Electric, and then I can't remember if I level. I think I'm going to play 3 Berserkers, but I'm not going to do that just yet because I will be able to level on. I will level to 4 after this. And then I'll put in Mundo and I'll have Berserkers available. I'm going to put them in the back row because that's where Berserkers function best. Although then I decided to switch my mind because of the Ornn, because the Ornn is not a Berserker and won't jump. But I do have Electric in play, and I also will have Berserkers in play after this. By the way, look at the RNG I'm getting. Fantastic RNG, so many Electric procs. Yasuo's going to ult, but he's not ulting onto a carry. Yeah, you can see the person I'm up against is even like, oh man. So yeah, do actually end up winning that run. And now it's confirmed we're going to go into Berserkers here for the immediate future in this game. Okay, so more lessons from set 2 of Teamfight Tactics. I talked about better balance. The next thing I want to mention here is I think that overall the way that the kind of the underlying mechanic numbers worked was a lot better in this patch. By the way, more Berserkers here. This is fantastic for me. Looking really good as far as getting that. Like I said, I think the underlying numbers were better in a lot of ways. I think that the way, like, they kind of worked out the math on things like win streaking. They kind of worked out the math on how much hit points you lose in a round. I actually think that they got the balance just about right. All throughout set 1, they were kind of tinkering with this, like how much damage you take if you lose a round, how much money you get on a win streak. And I think they got it right here in set 2. One of the things that I really like is whether you win a round that's close or whether you win a round by an overwhelming margin, it makes a really big difference. Like if you win a round and you have 1 unit left, you don't do very much damage. But if you win and like every single unit's alive, you do a lot of damage to the other person. And that really matters. When you're playing the game, you have to think very carefully about like not only will I win this round versus losing this round, but like will I if I'm going to lose this round, will I lose it to like such a degree that I'm going to take like 20 damage in this round? And I think that that's really important. They're actually moving away from this in set 3, and I think that might be a mistake. Like they wanted the math to be more transparent, so they're switching it to more flat damage for win-loss and not as much based on how decisively you win or lose. And I think that's a mistake personally. We'll see how that goes, but the early returns on the public beta test environment have not been great. So we'll see how that plays out, but I think they may have to adjust that because right now people are like taking no damage at all or very little damage even if they get pasted, and I don't think that's good for the health of the game. I think they did it correctly here in set 2. As far as what's going on in the game, I pick up a recurve bow because I want to make Last Whisper. Last Whisper is a key item on Olaf, and now that I know I'm going Berserkers, I'm going to be going into that comp. Also, high rolling pretty good here. Now I'm finding nothing but Berserkers. I get the 2-star Renekton, and I'm going to put the Last Whisper on Ornn, not because it's a good item on Ornn, but because I want to make use of it, and he can hold the item because he's going to get sold later on. So he can hold my items for right now, and I'll transfer them over when I get up to like 6 Berserkers, because I'll be dropping Electric when I get up to like 6 Berserkers. All right, next thing I want to talk about, improvements in set 2, and that is the larger size of the arena. In set 1, there were only 3 rows. They went up to 4 rows for set 2. It was definitely an improvement. It just opened up kind of the space in which combat takes place to a much greater extent. More room for positioning, more room for like the units to move around in. Just overall, I think it was a big improvement in this patch. Or in this set, excuse me, as compared to set 2. So it might seem like kind of a minor thing, and in a sense it is. It's not a huge difference, but I do think it overall made the gameplay a bit better and was definitely an improvement over what we had. I also think that the overall theming for set 2 was a big plus, the elemental theming in general. So set 2 was, of course, called Rise of the Elements, and everything was based around having different elements. I just think that that was a very clever way to do things. If you're going to have these various, I think they're officially called classes and origins, having them associated with different elements is really a neat idea to do. It was able to tie in a lot of the different skins because like a lot of the skins have like a fire theme or an ice theme or something. So it was able to bring a lot of that into the game. And it was also able to do this in a way that really made sense. Like everybody can understand something like Inferno. Okay, so like these are champions that are fire themed and like they put fire on the ground. It's like, it's pretty easy to understand that. It's not abstract or anything like that. It's easy to understand that I've got electric champions, so like when they hit people, they have lightning fly off of them. All of that I think is relatively straightforward and easy to understand. I also love the way that they did the interactions with the champions who are affected by the elements. Like Kiana having an element that changed based on what board it was a really clever idea. We've got this slow moving duel here, but fortunately Renekton's able to win that one, keep my win streak going. Having Kiana have 4 different elements was a really clever idea. I think it was one of the better things that they did in this patch as far as champions are concerned. And I really liked the way that they incorporated Lux as well. They took the Elemental Lux skin, which of course has 10 different skins. It's one of the most expensive skins in standard League of Legends. I think it's like a $25 skin or something like that. Really cool skin, and they're able to integrate it into this game by having the 10 different Luxes with the different elemental types. and Lux counting as 2 champions for the purposes of the various different elements that she rolled. Just the way that this could shake up team comps in like the late game. You could have things like you're building into one particular comp, but then you get a Lux that like will allow you to build something you wouldn't normally be able to build and shift things around. Is a really neat way of shaking up the gameplay in the later stages of the game. Like take this game, or I think I recently posted a Berserkers video where I ended up finding an electric Lux, and I was like, all right, well, electric Lux. So I wouldn't normally go into electric with a Berserkers comp. I wouldn't normally try to go for like electric 4, but as soon as I find that electric Lux, it's like, all right, well, we're gonna find a Zed, and then we're gonna stick electric Lux in, and all of a sudden we've got electric 4. And like you can just shift up the gameplay like that. Or if you're playing Ocean Mages, which is one of my favorite comps in set 2, probably my favorite comp in set 2, you find an Ocean Lux, and then all of a sudden your comp shifts around. Or you could just randomly put in, or like if you're playing a Rangers comp that has Taric and Ashe, and all of a sudden you find a Crystal Lux that's like, oh, all right, well, I'm going to play this now. You know, you get the idea. But it's like, it's a way that, it's something that you can't 100% rely on, but that also causes the gameplay to like shift in the late game in a way that's really meaningful. So I thought that that was a really neat way to both match kind of the theming of Rise of the Elements and also provided something that genuinely created interesting gameplay decisions. Like right there, you can see there's a Kiana that has the Inferno that matches the board. This is an Inferno board here. It was much more viable to play like an Inferno 6 comp if you were on an Inferno board, or if you're on a Mountain board, suddenly like it's much more viable getting the Mountain origin in. So anyway, enough about that. You get the idea. I think that that was overall a really neat way to make use of the elemental theming. On a related note, there also were the elemental hexes, and they, I think, were a little bit more of a mixed bag. The like the Inferno hex on this particular map, or the Ocean hex, or the Cloud hex. The overall idea, I think, was good, of like having these things that would switch up the board on each one of these maps. I think it was kind of a partial success, not a complete success. I say a partial success in the way that, honestly, after the early stages of set 2, I didn't really pay a lot of attention to the elements. Like, I wouldn't see an Ocean board and be like, oh, I should play Ocean Mages because this is an Ocean board. Like, I wouldn't really do that in this in this set, just because the hexes didn't have a big enough effect to be like, oh, it's an Inferno map, I should definitely play Inferno 6 this game. It had like a modest effect, but I don't think it had as big of an effect as Riot was hoping for. By and large, I mostly just ignored what the elemental type was, like once I kind of got past the early stages, and I think most people did too. You didn't see people saying like, oh, it's a Cloud board, I can't possibly play Ocean Mage this game because it's a Cloud board. Like, nobody really did that. So in that sense, it wasn't as big of a success as Riot was hoping for. By the way, look at 1-star Nasus tanking that Zephyr like a pro for me. So in that sense, it wasn't as big of a success as people were hoping for. But I do think it was a success just in the sense of like putting some terrain on the map, for lack of a better word. I don't know if that's quite the correct word, but like having things on the map for people to play around. Like when I look at the set 3 boards, it just looks really weird that there's like nothing on the board whatsoever. It's just like completely empty. And I do think that that's a step back. I feel like having some kind of tiles to play around really makes the board more interesting. They don't necessarily have to be elemental hexes, but just something on the board to play around I think is really worthwhile. It's the equivalent in a strategy game of having like terrain to maneuver your units around. So I think in that regard, it was definitely a plus, and I feel like it's a mistake not having anything on the board for set 3. So in that sense, Elemental Hexes, somewhat of a mixed bag. It didn't achieve everything that Riot wanted, but I think it was better having them than not having them, and I think removing any terrain from the map in set 3 is kind of a mistake. I think that's a step backwards. As far as what I'm grabbing here, there was really nothing I wanted out of those items at the end, so I'm just going to grab the Negatron Cloak so that I can make a Zephyr. That's the best use I can make of that. Best use I can make out of that Giant's Belt that I had. And now I finally found an Olaf, so it's time to sell Ornn and start putting items on Olaf. So I'm going to put the locket on Mundo this time. I'm going to get Olaf on that Elemental Hex. I'm going to grab Karma because I'm going to want to play Karma later on. And at this point I was like, well, why should I even bother to play that 1-star Nasus who's doing nothing? We'll just put we'll just put Karma. Yeah, there we go. We'll just put Karma in so she can power up the Olaf. and that's a more useful unit than I can play elsewhere right now. So we're switching the comp over. I actually probably get weaker in the immediate future because I've lost the Electric and I've lost the 2-star Ornn, but I'm going to transition into this Berserker's setup, and like I've got the Olaf, I've got Glacial. Olaf dies, and I believe this is actually where my winning streak ends, so maybe I was slightly premature in making the transition here. I can't remember. Oh yeah, I think Vayne's just got too much attack speed from her Rage Blade, so maybe a little bit too premature there. But it's not going to be a bad loss, if that makes sense. Still, sad to have that long winning streak come to a close because I was making a lot of money off of it. All right, so getting back to this, let's talk then about some of the things that maybe weren't great about set 2 for Teamfight Tactics. Here, I'm going to 6 and I'm looking to roll. I'm not exactly sure. Oh, I'm not exactly sure where I'm grabbing the Renekton's here. There we go. So this is what I was looking for. I wanted another Desert Champ because, or I wanted, yeah, so I could get the Desert debuff in play. I actually had not found any Desert Champs through all this time. So we're going to look to just have Desert in to debuff the armor. All right, getting back to our previous point, though. Things that maybe didn't work quite so well in set 2. The biggest thing that immediately came to mind is I do think that there was a bit of a disconnect between the champions and the various attributes that they had. And let me explain what I mean by that. In set 1, all of the champions were like pretty straightforward to pick up and learn. Like there were no skins in use. All the champions used their default skins. By the way, really good Azir Sand Soldier RNG there. His Sand Soldiers went right into the middle of my comp. But like in set 1, all of the champions were basically default, and they were really easy for people who had played League of Legends to just intuitively know who the champions were and pick them right up and understand them, as I high roll a Scion 2 there. So like there's Garen in set 1, right? And Garen was a knight, like pretty straightforward, easy to understand that. Garen's a knight. You have like I don't know, you had like Vi, who was a brawler, and you had like Lucian, he's a gunslinger. Okay, that's easy to understand. Like everything was really straightforward. Nothing was particularly hard to understand. And for some champions, that was true here in set 2 as well. Like Azir is Desert plus Summoner. It's like, oh, okay, well that makes sense. Of course Azir is Desert plus Summoner. What else would he be here in Teamfight Tactics? But others didn't really make a lot of sense. I mean, like Vladimir was a mage here in set 2. Okay, yeah, Vladimir's a mage. That makes sense. But he was also Ocean. It's like, what? Ocean? What? That doesn't make any sense. Why would Vlad be Ocean? Why would Jax be Light? Like, that's that. So I'm going to go up to 6 Berserkers here. We'll get Karma in at level 8. Like, why would Jax be Light? That doesn't make any sense. So, like, when they switched over to using these skins, you ended up with these combinations that don't make any kind of intuitive sense. And like you can learn it. Like if you play the game, you'll learn all of these eventually. But it inherently makes the game a little bit less intuitive, and it makes it less connected to mainstream League of Legends, which of course is what most people are familiar with. So I do think that it introduced a learning curve that made things harder. I'm also concerned that this is going to be an even bigger problem in set 3 because everyone in set 3 is using like some kind of futuristic cybernetic skin. And they don't really, number one, they don't really match their counterparts in normal League of Legends. I'm looking at like Karma, who is like Dark Star Mystic in set 2. Like she doesn't look anything like her normal setup, and her traits don't really match her. Things like that. Like Sona has got like some futuristic visor on. I'm looking at the portrait artwork for Jace, looks absolutely nothing like Jace. So I think that's going to be a problem. And yes, I do think it matters in the long run that these champs don't look like their League of Legends counterparts, and their traits don't really match what you would expect them to have. Like I do think that's an issue. And so yes, you can learn it, but anything that makes the game harder to get into is not really good. So having every single champion with futuristic skins, maybe not as good. Like it sounds good on paper, but I'm concerned that it in practice is maybe not quite as good as they were thinking when they were setting it up. So we'll see. Like I said, I'm sure everyone will get used to set 3, but I do think that's a problem if you can't tell the champions apart easily and their traits in game don't really match their traits that you would kind of expect them to have. All right, other things that I thought were an issue here in set 2. These are a little bit more connected to ranked play, which I know doesn't affect everyone, but apparently most people who play Teamfight Tactics do play ranked. Apparently the percentage is a lot higher than normal League of Legends, so I do think that these are valid issues. And the big one that I want to mention is the way that the ranked matchmaking worked, kind of like your hidden MMR that underlies the system. It could be really bad at, like, as far as not corresponding to who you are playing. So I can mostly speak in terms of my own kind of experience here in set 2 of Teamfight Tactics. So I ended up winning like a lot of my early games. Out of my first 7 games, I had 6 first place finishes. And I don't say that from the perspective of like, hey, I'm amazing at Teamfight Tactics. I was in a combination of both playing well and also getting very lucky in some of these games. Like, I've gone back and looked at some of the things that happened, and I was like rolling exactly the unit I needed at the key moment. And of course, also playing people who weren't very good. Like, let's be clear, when you're in your placement matches, you're up against people who aren't great, who aren't as familiar with how to play Teamfight Tactics. So that was part of it. But I'm not so good that I'm going to come in first place in 6 out of 7 games. Like, that's not going to happen. So the matchmaking system, the way it works is your hidden matchmaking rating goes up much, much faster than your actual ranking. You can only gain 100 LP. Like, that's the most you can gain in terms of the formal system. But your hidden matchmaking rating goes up much, much faster than that. So within about, I'd say within about 5 games, I was playing everyone in gold, even though my ranking was officially like bronze 3 at the time. And after about 10 games, everyone I was playing was in high platinum. After about 20 games, everyone I was playing was in diamond, and not even low diamond. Like, I'm 20 games in, and I'm still in like silver 2, and I'm playing all diamond people in like every game. And that's just totally ridiculous to have. Like, I understand how it happens. I understand that if you play enough games, eventually it will work out because you're getting way more LP for winning than you're losing for a loss. Like, I was at a point where if I came in like 3rd place, I would get 40 LP, and if I came in 7th place, I would lose like 10 LP. Like, yes, I understand how the system works. Yes, it will resolve itself in time. But the thing is, I don't have time to play, 200 Teamfight Tactics games. I am not in college. I work full time. I'm not going to play 200 ranked games of Teamfight Tactics. I'm probably going to play like maybe 50 games in a season. And so for me, this system really doesn't work in that regard. I don't have time to play that gazillion games that'll cause matchmaking to work out. So no, when I'm in Silver 1, I should not be playing people in Challenger. And yes, that actually happened to me. I have a screenshot of that. I was Silver 1 and I played someone in Challenger and someone who was a Grandmaster. It was 5 diamonds, 1 Challenger, 1 Grandmaster. I was in Silver 1. That should just not happen, okay? Like, I get it. The matchmaking's not going to line up, but that just should not be happening. So my hope is that in set 3 they will resolve that discrepancy a little bit, that it won't be as big of a discrepancy between your hidden matchmaking rating and what's actually taking place and like who you're actually playing in the games. Like, I would be fine if I'm in gold and I'm playing people in platinum, but I don't think if I'm in gold I should be playing people in like diamond 1 or diamond 2. That seems really silly to me. So there was a note that is supposed to be better in set 3. So I'm hoping that will be the case and that we won't see that as much. And last thing I wanted to mention, again, this is also related to ranked. I really feel like the seasons are too short for Teamfight Tactics. Set 2 here only lasted for 2 months. Or no, excuse me, not 2 months. Lasted for 4 months. It started in like November, and then it ran like November, December, January, February, and then like right now we're in like early to mid-March, and it's finishing up. So I guess it was like 4.5 months. That just feels really short to me. Like, the seasons in Standard League of Legends basically run for a whole year. I think they start in January and they finish up in like November. So they last for a very long time. These sets in Teamfight Tactics, though, they're, I mean, like 4 months. That's not a lot of time, at least for me. I feel a little bit like Riot is balancing this around the professional streamers who play for, they like just play all day, every day. And they play until they, they like start in the morning and then they play for like 10 hours straight and they'll play 15 games of Teamfight Tactics. And so, yes, those people are very tired of the sets and are very willing or very ready to swap over to something else by the time that 4 months are over. But like for someone like me, I haven't played that many games. I kind of enjoy the current set. I would love it to go on a little bit longer. Largely because it takes such a long time to learn all the champions. Like, it takes a week or 2 to learn all of the new champions when a new set comes out. And then it's not like the game is static during the season either. There's a new patch every 2 weeks. Like, 2 weeks is not a lot of time. Like, there's a new patch every 2 weeks. Makes a lot of balance changes, sometimes introduces new champions, sometimes introduces new items, and then I have to relearn everything all over again as soon as that happens. So I don't feel like the game is really that static. I would love to see the seasons. I would be much happier if the seasons were like 6 months. Like at least give me 6 months with a set before I have to learn every single new champion again, as opposed to doing it every 4 months. And like set 3, the information that's out right now, there's a pass that people can purchase for set 3, and it's supposed to only last until June. So I don't know if that means that the next set is only going to be 3 months. That would seem incredibly short. So I hope that's not the case. I guess we'll find out. By the way, some pretty good Zephyr placement there. Getting the Mauls 3 with the Zephyr allows me to easily win this particular round and almost eliminate that player. So I'm hoping that the seasons will be a little bit longer. Again, I'm sure that for the high elo people, it's not who just spam the game all day. It's not that big of a deal. But for everyone else, I think there's a lot of people like me who maybe play like, I don't know, 5 to 10 games a week. I feel like a lot of us really weren't tired of the set yet and would have been happy to keep it running longer. So those are some thoughts overall. I hope that that makes sense. I ran through my whole list, and I think that there's still a little time left in this video. So I hope that that makes sense. I'll use this time then both to narrate what's going on in this game and also to talk a little bit about season set 3, things that I'm looking forward to. I'm very interested in some of the mechanical changes. The different galaxies seem like they're kind of a neat idea. I worry, though, that having different galaxies could be a bit of a problem, in the sense that they actually take away more choice than they provide. Like some of the it's kind of like, don't get me wrong, it's kind of cool to have double Nikos at the start of a galaxy, or Nico's help. Like that's kind of cool. I get the idea, but it does feel to me like the smart play there is just to hold the Nikos, try to level up to like a 4-cost or 5-cost unit, and then instantly double slam your Nikos onto like your 4-cost unit. That feels like the right strategy to me. I could be wrong. Like, so in some ways it adds more choices, but in some ways it takes choices away. Similarly, they've been showing like carousels where every single carousel has exactly the same item, and like that sounds cool. It's like, oh, every carousel has the same item. You've got to play around getting the same item. But I actually don't think that's a good idea, because it actually just removes choices. The whole point of the carousel is you get a chance to look for a particular item. And if you're losing, then you get a chance to pick first and get an item you really need. If everyone on the carousel gets the same item and you're losing, well, what does that mean? I guess you're just screwed. It's like, oh, cool, well, I'm losing, but at least I can take like that BF sword I really need. And then it's like, actually, no, everybody's getting a giant's belt. It's like, well, is this actually making the game better? I'm not sure that it is. It feels like it's more taking choices away than really adding choices, personally. So I have some concerns about that too. Like, it's neat that we're going to get a whole new set of champs. I'm sure there'll be some fun stuff to do with regards to that. But like I said, some of these ideas that sound good on paper, I'm not sure that they actually are good on paper. And I do not like the changes they've made to win streaking and the changes that they've made to player health. I'm hoping that they will revert some of those changes. So as far as what's going on in this battle, I actually think I probably win this battle most of the time, but I get a little bit unlucky in the sense that the Sand Soldier in that battle immediately went after my carry, Olaf, and then Yasuo ulted my carry, and then Malphite ulted my carry, and all that happened before Olaf could get his ult off, which was a little bit unlucky. Now, to be fair, Olaf's the only one with 3 items, so of course Yasuo's going to target him. I'm actually trying to get in a position where someone else will have 3 items, so the Yasuos in this game are not guaranteed to ult Olaf. But that is an issue right now, so I probably should stick like another item on, I don't know, like on the Renekton, just so he's someone who might get ulted, because he's got that would give him 3... that would give him the Zephyr plus the Inferno plus like the Giants, or plus like the Brawler's Glove. So I should think about doing that, because there's 2 different people who are playing Yasuo's in this comp. But anyway, I'm still feeling relatively good about this game. I'm going to level 9. I'm going to be able to hit that after this. I was considering going to 9 before this, but I figured even if I lost this round, I wouldn't be eliminated. So I did want to hold off on leveling if I could, because here I'll get a minion round and I'll have more gold. And then I'm going to have to look to find something. I've been planning to go into Poison. That's like been the plan, because I've been finding cogs and I've been finding twitches. There is the Zed there. I probably should grab the Zed just in case I would find like an Electric Lux. If I would find Electric Lux, I would look to go into I would look to go into Electric 4, but that is unlikely that I would find an Electric Lux. That's kind of the only unit that would cause me to play Electric here. And then I would have to find, then I would play Z plus Lux to get Electric 4 if I were to get that. Instead, though, I'm going to get a Morelos. I do still have a Nico's Help sitting there on the bench, so if I can find another one of these units, I can look to play that. So I'm going to put that on Azir for right now. And there, I do pick up the Z. So there we go, Z2. I was like, oh, cool. All right, well, I'll look to play Z2 here. I mean, that's the best thing I've found so far. Maybe I can even get Z 3-star. But instead, though, I do end up picking up the Singed. And I was like, actually, Singed is probably better. And then I find a second Singed. So I've got Twitch 2-star, Singed 2-star. I was like, okay, let's get them in. I'm going to go ahead and put that in. So now we've got Poison in the comp, and we even managed to make Jax 2-star. Although I forget to put the Nico on my Singed, which I absolutely need to do. So we'll look to go ahead and do that after this round. I didn't realize it until after the round started. Singed 2-star, and then I can look to move the item that's on Azir over to him as well. That is the Ludens. Took me a second to think of the name of the item because it's not used a lot in Teamfight Tactics. Then I can look to move the Ludens over to Singed as well. Not that he's going to get splash damage, but just more AP in general. It's obviously good on Singed. So now we'll look to do that. We're going to look to make Singed, and now I just need to find another Desert Champ. So there's yet another Singed. I guess I could have avoided Nicoing that. So I see the Kha'Zix here as well, and I was like, okay, let's go ahead, put the Twitch on the attack speed hex. We'll sell the Azir, so I can move the Ludens over to Singed. There we go. And so this looks good. So we've got Berserker 6, Poison 3, and we've got Desert for the armor debuff, Glacial 2 as well. I'm just moving the Olaf at the last second in case someone has a Zephyr. I know someone has a Zephyr, and I want to make sure that he's moving. So Singed is going to get that poison, and I need him to poison the Azir. He actually doesn't get it, but he does get it on the Sivir in the backlines. So I just need Olaf to continue cutting through these guys. Fortunately, some bad Sand Soldier RNG on the part of a castle over there. His Azir summoned a Sand Soldier way over on the right where it didn't hit anybody. And now I basically just need to roll down. I'm pretty much just looking for Olaf's right now to try to get Olaf 3-star. It's the only thing I'm realistically going to 3-star here. I'm like I'm seeing a lot of stuff that would be fantastic. Also, I went past a Kha'Zix there, so whoops, that's a mistake. There's the Electric Lux, by the way. I was like, oh, do I switch into Electric? And then I was like, no, it's probably too late at this point to try to get into Electric Lux. I don't think that I can do that meaningfully here. So I do have Zephyrs to worry about. Let's see what that hits. It looks like it's going to hit the... Let's see, what does it actually end up being? All right, so it hits the Singed and it hits the Renekton. Renekton, who's sitting there specifically to soak up Zephyrs. Very nice. And looks like I've got this one under control as well. It's a ghost round, though, so I'm not going to do any damage. But it looks like I've got control of this one, which is a good thing because that was a... I think that's a Shadow 6 comp that looks pretty strong. But the dream of dream of 9 Olafs is probably not likely to happen in this match. Let's see, down to just these last two. Can the Nami cut it? No, Nami's not going to get it done. So that's going to eliminates the player I just faced. And now I'm back to the Azir-based player that I have right now. So different options here. I actually do see the Berserker's Axe. I could actually grab that and then sell one of my Berserkers and look to play something else. But instead, I just decided I'd take the Thief's Glove here because that'll buff up one of my carries. And I figured that was better than getting the Berserker's Axe. Although I could have grabbed that and tried to switch out my comp. Like I could have dropped, dropped the Jax here and looked to put in. I could have made, yeah, I'm trying to put it on Singed because I already got an item, so we'll put it on the Scion instead. But like I could have looked to. I think if I had held on to the Electric Lux, the smart play would have been to grab that glove, or excuse me, grab the Berserker's Axe and then put in Electric Lux. I think that would have been the play. But that did not end up happening. Instead, I'm going to look to try to Zephyr. I wanted to try to Zephyr out the Taric. Instead, I actually end up messing this up. I end up getting the Yasuo instead, although that's not terrible because I don't really want Yasuo jumping on my carries. Oh, the other reason I wanted the Thief's Glove was I knew there was a Yasuo on this guy, and that way whoever I Thief Glove would be another Yasuo target. So like Olaf would be less likely to get hit. There'd be another person for Yasuo to jump on. So that ended up working out. Again, some bad Sand Soldier RNG. Note that the Sand Soldier went after Twitch down there in the bottom right corner instead of my Berserker carries. So I'm able to win, and that's that. End up coming in first place this game. Again, I certainly don't come in first every game, but did manage to come in first in this one. Generally, it's more interesting to show games where things worked out than where things didn't work out. We played a game on live stream yesterday as I'm recording this where I was playing a light 6 comp, and I rolled 70 gold and didn't find Lucian, who's like the core of the 6 light comp, and I just get a 7th place as a result of that. Doesn't make for a great video to put on YouTube, so that's why you generally see games where things work as opposed to games where things don't work out. Anyway, though, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching this sequence. I did a fair number of videos for set 2. As I said, I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. And let's look forward to some more videos for set 3. So until then, have a great week. See you guys soon. Take care.